What is this picture of me with my eyeballs bugging out that used to say Bitcoin crash, but now it says Bitcoin cash? I want to talk about comparisons on cryptocurrencies, most notably Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm going to take a look at a tale of three charts, daily, weekly, monthly, on BTC and on ETH, and see if we can draw some comparisons there. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin. I got to say, when you look at this and you look at what happened in just the last week, it's eye popping. All right. It looked like Bitcoin crash was happening. In fact, a lot of the news was saying Bitcoin crash. So what was I doing during Bitcoin crash? Well, I bought some Bitcoin at 60,000 and I bought some Bitcoin at 50,000. And I grabbed right there. I think the low was 48.8 or something as it came down and ran right back up. We're trading right above the 60 level right now. So when you look at this chart really kind of shows lower highs and lower lows. But when you see this big move up like this and you get these lower highs and lower lows, this is actually called a bullish flag, right? So when's the flag going to fly back to the upside? We don't know. But if I were to take an educated guess with all of the uncertainty that's going on in the markets, I would say that sometime before the presidential election, we could see new highs, meaning we could be back above, maybe not new all-time highs, but above this trend line right now. We've got 67,000 as the marker that could push us to new highs. 52,000 if we drop down below the lows that we saw. And these are based on closing prices. These are not based on absolutes. All right. Daily. Let's take a look at weekly. The weekly chart shows something completely different. It does show, when you go back, and you'll see the 2020 lows down here when we were down in around 5,000, just below $5,000 for a Bitcoin. Boy, remember those days. And then we ran up in about a year. We went from 5,000 to 60,000. There was a 10 bagger right there. Came back down to around the 30,000 level, back up to the high 60s, and then the drop came. Then we had crypto winter come in. And crypto winter took us back down to below 20,000. It was around 17 and change. And then, of course, 2023, back the breakout year again. 2024, we've crested up, and here's that little bearish flag that you saw on the daily charts. But long-term trend is still well intact and up, and we see that 87,000 minimum target that we're looking at to occur here relatively soon, but I'm pushing that out a little bit farther now, putting that out into 2025. The monthly chart looks like this. Now, what's interesting is that Bitcoin on the monthly chart, here's a couple things we see. We see these lows, we see that run up, that run down, that run up, that run down, that run up, and now we're not running down as fast. Is it possible that the institutional adoptions and that, we're seeing more and more institutions, you got politicians coming in talking about Bitcoin now. Is it possible that we're going to start to see consolidation of volatility? Maybe, but if you looked at what happened last week, a lot of folks would disagree with me on that. But the long-term chart does show that move to the upside. And if we put in the data going back into 2014, 2012, 2010, it shows on average that Bitcoin has actually increased. I believe it's 40% a year on average. Now that would push these lines quite a bit higher. So I want to go as conservative as I possibly can. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Now, the Ethereum chart does not look as strong as Bitcoin. Reason why? We broke out of that long-term uptrend line and we took ourselves from above 3,000. It was like 3,300 down to 2,150 rather quickly. We're back up to around 2,700. Got to get above 2,850 on the daily before we have any signs of get back above this. So remember, support becomes resistance. That's the resistance number that Ethereum is faced with right now. But when you go out and look at a weekly chart, it does look better. You do have that bullish flag, or that bullish pennant, that bullish triangle happening with, again, some really good long-term resistance right here around 3,800. And then again, when you look at what's happening with the long-term monthly chart, this is interesting. The monthly chart shows us in a long triangle. So you've got the upward, those higher highs, and then you've got those higher lows, and you've got lower highs that are happening. If if Ethereum does break, when it breaks, we're going to take the apex. We're going to take the where the low is and the high is at that time of the break, and we'll be able to get a good idea of where that target is likely to be. We've discussed targets anywhere from around the old highs, which are around 4,800 to as much as 52 to 5,400 is what we're looking at on the horizon. So takeaways, crypto takeaways here in both Bitcoin and Ethereum look like this. Both BTC and Ethereum charts, all right, the daily charts are volatile. We know that. It's the most volatile stuff we're trading right now. But BTC is the stronger of the two charts. Now, when you go out to weekly and monthly, it looks like this. Mostly bullish patterns, taking us higher into 2025 on the weeklies and even higher than that into 2030. Why is that? Well, lots changed between 10 years ago and now. 10 years ago, Bitcoin was a myth. 10 years ago, they were the early adopters. And since then, corporations are starting to use it now. Governments are starting to use it now. Institutions are coming back in. And now they're adding on with lately with the Ethereum ETF. I expect to see endowments and pensions start to utilize this, as well as mutual funds, as part of their strategy, especially money managers. Money managers are going to be hearing it. When is Bitcoin going to be part of our overall investment strategy? And I think that's going to help move it higher as well, and especially the store of value. When you look at the store of value compared to traditional investments, such as gold, such as mutual funds, such as real estate, okay, Bitcoin's going to, I believe, long term, going to make its mark as a major store of value. So there's my takeaways for the week on cryptocurrency.